Hello parents, and thank you for tuning in here really quickly. By watching this video, hopefully we will all be able to save some time here at SEP conferences. So let's get into it. I want to talk about three things. One is your students, or your child's grades. Two, I want to talk about math. And then lastly, I want to talk about some projects that we'll be doing in the second course of the year. So if you can take a minute and look at your kid's grade on SIS, and if you can always be doing that, that'd be awesome, because what you can see is you can continually follow your child's progress. And I'm not always the best at upgrading it, but overall it should give you a general idea of where your kid's at. Now when you look at those grades, it's a little bit tricky because I truly believe, I think in elementary school, I think those grades are a little bit abstract, they're a little bit ambiguous, and it's just like, what does this actually mean? And so if I were to put these in terms of what that skill actually means, here's what they mean. And I can kind of explain it. These are really general, and I don't mean to offend anyone if you don't agree, but I think these are kind of a general idea of what I see as a teacher working with my students. So math. So if your kid is doing well in math or not doing so well, I believe that is a direct result of good or bad study habits. And these are all skills that your child really needs to have going into middle school and high school. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk down to anyone. I'm aware that the majority of you would understand a lot of these things, so hopefully it doesn't come off that way in any way. But I think truly the math grade, I'm not saying everyone needs to be a genius at math. You need to be awesome. You need to be getting straight A's in math. But overall, in elementary, the math isn't so complicated that it's impossible. At least yet. Like maybe you're in high school and it's like it really becomes a struggle. But in 6th grade, we were talking about very, very basic math skills. 6th grade, it does get a little bit more complicated. We do get into algebra, and so I understand. Even myself, I got to review the material every year. But at the end of the day, it's not any kind of crazy math. It's still very basic. And so the grade for that is honestly a direct. There's a correlation between that and studying. And so every test I give out a study guide. And so that study guide is going to look very similar to the actual test. The questions will be worded the same way. They are standardized tests, and so when I give out the study guide, sometimes the questions might look weird. And I'm not doing that to be a jerk, but I'm doing that because I really want the kids to see what the questions, how they'll be worded on the test. And so if you see some weird worded questions, you'll know why. It's because I'm trying to help them prepare. So math, study habits. Study those study guides that I give them. If you're struggling, if your child is struggling in math, they can come before or after school, during recesses, preferably after school or during specialty. I do it about once a week with a group of kids, so if you want your kid to be part of that, let me know. Language arts. So take a look at that grade, and those are all things we basically do in class. It's taking notes, it's open book, open note quizzes. What else is there? There is little quizzes on vocab. If you can see over here, I'm not sure if the camera catches that. We have some vocab words that we do once in a while. Prefixes, it's the same type of thing. They learn the prefixes, and they're just little tiny things they got to study. It's not very difficult, but it goes with study habits. So there's some study habits, but it's also that work ethic in class. It's, am I paying attention? Am I actually taking notes on it? Because I have given quite a few open book note quizzes, and there's no reason why anyone should fail those. Next up is reading, and reading is just responsibility. Everyone can read. I'm not giving a grade out on how well or how poorly or how far behind your child might be in reading. The grade goes hand in hand with, can I get my homework turned in? So if you see a low grade in that's a sign that we need to be working on some study skills or some responsibility skills at home. Can I do one thing a week, which is get an agenda, bring it home, get it signed, bring it back, and on Monday. So reading equals responsibilities. I want to now go into math. Now I made this little graphic up here to show you where the math grades are coming from. This is as of today. I haven't put in all the grades yet, so this could change slightly, but overall this is what you're generally going to see. You're going to see that tests make up 52% or 50%, give or take, of your student's grade. So if you see a low grade, check their test grades. And if they're low, that's going to be really harming them. Again, if they're not doing well on tests, we'll have them take a look at their study guide, because the study guide is almost exactly the same. 33% of that comes from assignments. Those are Then at each math class I might say, all right, you have one or two problems, go ahead and do those in class. Or occasionally I give them homework, but as you probably know, I hardly give out any homework unless it's I-ready, which is where the other 15% comes. So there are some kids who haven't been doing I-ready at all, and it might not seem like very many points, but it is 15%, and that if you're not doing it all, you're gonna go from an A to a B or whatever. Now on top of that, there was, I totaled it up so far, there was anywhere, depending on which class you're in, 25 to 30 points of extra credit given. This, for just this term. So 30 points is able to bring a child's score who has a D all the way to 100%. That's honestly ridiculous, and I don't know if I should do that, but I like giving kids the opportunity to really work hard and get their grade, seeing as though this is elementary school, and I'm just looking for work ethic and study behaviors more than the grade itself. So some of those points are given at the end of a test. There might be a bonus question. A lot of kids are skipping them. They're not doing them. There's also, I have given out several assignments that are worth 1, 2, 3, 4 points, extra credit, go home and do this, this, this. I'm not getting a lot of kids doing that. I've really tried to teach the students how important doing those extra bonus questions on the test, how important those are, how important doing the extra credit assignment is. I'm not saying they need to do every single one, but what I don't think a lot of them understand is that they're free points, and so when they're skipping questions on the test, I don't think that's clicking up there that you might as well take a guess, right? And so on top of that, though, those assignments are not getting done by a lot of students. Some students are, but if you want to help raise your child's score, make sure that they are being responsible with that. I can do so much at school by really teaching them that and telling them to do it, but at the end of the day, those things should go on their agenda, and that's the student's choice to do them or not do them. All right, so those are the two things I want to talk about as far as grades, so hopefully that kind of covers grades. Just as a side note, your black folder, your student's black folder, and their agenda, which we write up here every day in my class, should be something you can have access to at home. Whether or not they're doing those is kind of up to them. I do set aside a little bit of time, but I'm not walking around each desk, so I don't totally know who is always doing it, who isn't. That's, at this point, they are a little bit more on their own. So feel free to get on their case if they're not doing that. Very lastly, parents, thank you for staying in this long, is I wanted to really briefly touch on Mini Society. Mini Society is the project we do. It's unique to my classroom. Mrs. Arce does get involved, but it's something that I copied from my childhood experience in elementary school, and there'll be a lot more information coming on it, and we have a lot of time to talk about it, 4.5 months, but I just want to briefly tell you that the students will be interviewing for classroom jobs. We create jobs. The kids basically run the classroom in 2 weeks from now. They'll run the classroom. I teach the class, but they take care of everything in there. There are jobs, janitor, policeman, presidents, I mean everything you think of, they take care of everything in class. So they're going to apply and interview for jobs. They will take a business class. Every week we'll have a few classes on business and entrepreneurship. We use a program from PBS called BizKids. This is unique to my classroom. I know other classes don't do it. It's not really part of, doesn't directly go into the core, but I incorporate core subjects into it. And then very lastly, the kids will create their own business. They will fully dive into entrepreneurship. They will create their own business. They will sell product at the end of the year. There'll be lots more coming up with that. If you have questions, feel free to talk to me. Talk to a parent who's had a kid in my class in the years past. The kids really enjoy it, and parents honestly love it as well. So it's something that's fun for everyone. Anyways, that is all I have to say. Thank you guys for staying tuned in. Hopefully that saves us time. If you feel as though all your needs have been met through this video, maybe you need to talk to Ms. Arce, so that's one thing. But if you feel like they've been met through me, feel free to let me know. Feedback, questions, concerns, and if you don't need to schedule an ICP, then don't feel like you need to do it. Feel free to come in whenever you'd like. Don't just feel pressure to come in during ICPs. I'm not discouraging anyone from not coming to ICPs, but I really believe that parents and students should be constantly checking in and evaluating themselves. And if next week doesn't work, then please don't feel pressured. But if you do, please come in. We'd love to see you guys sometime this month or next month or really anytime. So thank you guys, and we'll see you later. Bye.